Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bill Carlos, 2nd Ward.
Joseph Lepore, 5th Ward.
Ann Church, 6th Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Tonight's agenda, there's no public hearings tonight. We have a rather small agenda. I'll go over and we'll open it up for a public comment. First item on the list is a contract with Dutchess County Drug Task Force. Number 2 is acceptance of a grant legislation initiative, DCJS Crisis Intervention Training. Number 3 is a resignation of Bonita Carlin, School Crossing Guard. Number 4, set a date for a public hearing on Town Code Amendment for 2628 South Road. We'll have a presentation on that also. Number 5, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Municipay for credit card services. 6, authorize the supervisor to change order with Blue Heron and Arlington Wastewater Treatment Plant. 7, set a date for a public hearing for property maintenance on 5 Mahar Drive. 8, accept the release of an easement bondment for Inwood Lake. Number 9 is a land transfer for Malmos Terrace. Number 10 is appoint Jeff Renahan, 1st Ward Councilman. And number 1, special consent, and that's to retain Vanderwater for People versus Ramos notice of appeal. And at this point, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on any item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to discuss anything that is on tonight's agenda? Anybody? Mr. Armstrong.
I guess I need to explain to me again. It says property maintenance Mahar Drive. I thought by this time that these places that are being maintained were being turned over to the banks that own them. Is there a different reason for Mahar Drive for being for maintenance work?
They don't get turned over. This law just makes it easier for us to find out who they are and some of the banks taking ownership. If they're still not taking ownership, there's also a period between when they leave and the banks take it over. Sarah, I'll come and explain how that law works. Do you know any more about it? Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything more about it.
No, yeah.
I thought it was the cost of it was being, without us going through the county to get reimbursed for this cost of doing these maintenances, that the bank was going to start picking it up directly.
The bank is supposed to pick it up at a faster pace, but there's still a time frame that's missing. So we shouldn't see as many. We'll see a few, like when they first go till the bank gets them. But there's still that period of time from when they first get foreclosed on and they move out and the bank takes ownership. The bank is supposed to take a quicker ownership almost immediately. But there's still a few that it hasn't fallen through the cracks yet. It should get a lot easier.
And this one appears it may still be owned by the people.
Well, that's
because they don't have a bank listed here. They have.
Well, they never did list a
couple
bank.
listed
They
here.
never did list a bank that I recall.
Okay.
Who knew who was controlling it?
A lot of times the banks change so much by the time you chase the records down, they're in transition.
I understand, but in the meantime, the town is footing the bill for this until we get this straight. I thought this was going to be pretty much corrected by this time.
No, I don't think it's ever going to be corrected. There's always going to be a loophole out there. We just shouldn't see as many. The banks, and as Sarah has said, that she's gotten along with some of the banks. She's got better contact information, so we shouldn't see as many. They should start dwindling down.
And number 6 on the wastewater treatment is what is that connected to? Is that connected to the Country Club Estates? Does that have anything to do with this?
No, that has to do with the wastewater treatment plant itself. It's an extension of a part of the project. They had a hard time hitting rock, putting one of the water lines in there, so it had a date that they had to be done by. They're just extending the date for all the rock that they hit down there.
All right, and as far as the Country Club, has that been completed? Turned over and done? Okay.
Turned over and came in under budget.
I haven't heard anything as whether it was
done.
Totally done. I thought it was, but...
Yeah, it's done and it came in under budget and there was a reduction. I think it was somewhere around $50,000 less than what it was supposed to be.
All right, now I remember that. Yeah, okay, I remember that now, right. All right, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss anything on the agenda? If not, I'll make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Carlos.
Item 1, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement between the County of Dutchess, the City of Poughkeepsie, the City of Beacon, the Town of East Fishkill, and the Town of Poughkeepsie for the Dutchess County Drug Task Force for the period January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2021. Copy of which is attached here too. So moved.
Second.
We have motion second. Any questions or concerns on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee to execute all papers necessary properly to effectuate acceptance of a DCJS legislative initiative grant in the amount of $46,000, which funds will be used by the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department to purchase a 2017 Ford Utility Police Interceptor SUV, a next-generation MVRE system, a new mobile data terminal, and a tablet PC, and an Easy Rider K9 platform and a K9 Hot and Pop Pro system. So moved.
Second.
We have motion second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept, with regret, the resignation of Bonita M. Cohen from her position as school crossing guard, effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on that one? I just like to thank her for her years of service. All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas the
5-0.
Okay. Whereas the Town Board has received a communication from the Director of Municipal Development to suggest that it change the zoning designation for a portion of the property located at 2628 South Road, tax parcel number 6160-01-235760 from residential single-family 2-acre R2A to highway business BH district, and whereas the change of zone would involve 10 acres of a plus or minus 139.23 acre site, and the action to amend the zoning map is unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the Town Board has determined that the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economical Development and to the Town Planning Board for review and recommendation, and whereas amending the zoning map requires a public hearing, now therefore be resolved that 1. The Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment for March 1st, 2017 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2. The Town Board has determined that the action should be subject to a coordinated review because the proposed use of the property will, among other permits and approvals, require site plan approval by the Town Planning Board. Therefore, the Town Board consents to the Planning Board acting as lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed action pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And 3. The Town Board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economical Development for a recommendation pursuant to GML 239-M, and 4. The Town Board refers this matter to the Town Planning Board for an advisory report. 5. The Town Board directs the Town Clerk to notify the surrounding towns of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239-NN. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Before we run this, Neil, want to bring us up to speed again? I tried to stop you. We were already starting. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Neil Wilson, Town Development Director. The resolution involves a requested rezoning of somewhere between 10 and 11 acres of mostly the frontage, which includes the pro shop and the clubhouse at Dutchess Country Club. The remaining acreage, roughly about 128 acres, would remain as an R2, a 2-acre residential area. In conversation with the owner, Dr. Bocci, who is here tonight, and I've asked him to speak as well. I'll introduce him in a minute. He has a business venture that involves the use of the basically the front space, and he is going to leave the remaining land just simply, he's going to cut the grass. As he will explain, the golf course operation will close, but the space will remain as is. But this is the sort of the kickoff, if you will. This will be a coordinated review. His business use of the clubhouse mostly is to convert it into office space. So to the extent that there is a site plan approval, which is also tagged as part of this, my expectation it is mostly a planning board action to approve what's already on the ground. There may be some changes that they may wish to make in regard to parking and some of the other improvements there, but I don't expect them to be very major at this point. But there were articles that appeared in some of the local papers about the closure of the golf course, and concern has been expressed about exactly what that means. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to the owner, Dr. Bacci, and his attorney, Rebecca Volk, and they will talk with you about their request.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Good evening, members of the town board. I'm going to turn this over immediately to my client, as he does an excellent job of describing what his vision is for this building and what he would like to bring to the town of Poughkeepsie.
So, good evening. My name is Dr. Bacci. I'm the owner of the Duchess Golf Course. I purchased it about a year ago with the intention of keeping it as a golf course and as a catering facility. So during that period of time, I extended the building out a little bit, about 15 feet, put about $150,000 worth of landscaping around the building and in the golf course itself, took down the fencing that was there and put a stone wall with the intention of really making it into a high-end catering facility. And that was my intention all along. I put new carpeting in and did everything. But at the same time I was doing that, two business ventures that I had started to grow very, very quickly. And so let me explain to you what those two opportunities are. Both of these are healthcare technology companies. The type of technology that we're using and developing are in conjunction with some of the colleges locally. We're in discussions right now with Marist and with Rensselaer to partner with us in developing high-end technology that can be used in a home care setting or in a skilled nursing facility. So the first company that we have is called Telestat, T-E-L-I-S-T-A-T. And what is Telestat? Telestat is taking 18 beds of a skilled nursing facility and making those beds into an ICU-like setting of a hospital, which is unheard of in nursing homes in New York State. So what we did there was we took specialized nursing, particularly cardiac care nursing or intensive care nursing with backgrounds, and gave them additional training so that they could read cardiac telemetry, an EKG rhythm strip, and monitors, and decipher those cases that were high acuity patients. What's happening in the hospital environment is hospitals are discharging patients more rapidly with higher acuity problems into nursing homes. Nursing homes in New York State, however, are not geared for the type of patients that we're accepting. So by developing a unit like this, we needed to have high-end nursing with a better ratio than a typical nursing home, which is one skilled nurse for about 30 patients or 25 patients. Here the skilled nursing ratio is 1 to 6 in that unit, just like in intensive care, almost. In addition to that, we took technology, and we worked with technology developers to have the ability to put a cardiac device, monitoring device, on any patient in the 18 beds and transmit that information through Wi-Fi onto a monitor so that the nurses at the nursing station or on their medication carts could see a patient's rhythm 24 hours a day. And in fact, the same rhythm I could look now on my phone and in real time tell you exactly what's going on with the patients in my unit. So with that, we also brought in critical care physicians to work in the nursing home, which is unheard of. Typically, if you go into a nursing home in New York State, it's more geriatric warehousing to me, which I don't approve of as a physician. And what I wanted to see was better senior care and develop methodologies to improve the care for seniors. So what we proved at Golden Hill Nursing Home on the other side of the river in Ulster County, which was a 280-bed nursing home, we took 18 beds, and hospital readmission rates, 30-day readmission rates, are a big deal today. And that means if a hospital discharges a patient and that patient gets readmitted back to the hospital within 30 days, right now Medicare penalizes the hospital. Next year, the hospital will have full cost for that patient being readmitted. The average readmission rate across the country is about 20% on Medicare patients. That means 20% of Medicare patients that are discharged from a hospital are readmitted back to the hospital within 30 days. That's costing the federal government $26 billion, of which $17 billion are considered unnecessary, avoidable admissions. In our unit, we took that readmission rate down from 21% down to 5%. So the impact was dramatic. New York State Department of Health came and looked at the facility and gave us a $5 million grant to replicate the unit in New York State, 3 other units like it over a course of 3 years. On top of that, CMS, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, offered another $5 million just for the concept alone. So we had $10 million in grant money which we're about to receive because of what we accomplished with the technology and the ability to treat patients in a nursing home in a much higher acuity. If you look at the acuity index of the patients that we're treating right now at Ulster County, it's the highest in the region, which means we're taking care of the sickest patients in the region in a nursing home. Now, not only can we take care of patients in a nursing home, and that company was called Telestat. So right now we have about 44 clients in New York State that want us to build these facilities, these nursing home units. We did no marketing whatsoever. We had a bill passed by the governor April of last year. It's called the Restorative Care Unit Bill. And without marketing, we went from 5 units or 4 units that the state wanted us to build to 44 units right now. So we're growing leaps and bounds. And in order to do what we need to do, we have to hire implementation teams, educational teams, nurses, doctors, NPs. It goes on and on. Right now, we're in the process of really developing the implementation team for that. And we're up to about 18 employees. My guess is by the end of the year, we'll probably be in the mid-20 range to 30 range. And when we really start cooking, when we're doing 4 units a month, we're going to be doing probably close to 50 employees. And these are high-end paying jobs. These are physicians, nursing assistants, nurses, etc. So that's one aspect of the business. The second part of the business is a product called Monitor Me, which we developed. This is a tablet, a mini iPad 4, that goes home with a patient. It's the first time in history that we can discharge a patient with a device that is customized for the patient. Not only does it tell the patient, it includes their entire medical history from a nursing home or from a hospital in the tablet, it also is customized specific for the patient. It has 9 buttons on it. So if a patient wants to talk to a nurse in real time, she presses a button, and immediately the nurse appears on the screen. It's like telemedicine on steroids. If she needs to speak to a doctor, if the patient wants to speak to a doctor, the screen splits into 2, and you have the nurse and the doctor talking directly to the patient. But they're not just talking to the patient. Because we're sending the patient home with this new technology devices that we're developing, we can now monitor in real time 9 hemodynamic functions. And this is where it gets incredible, because no one in the United States has even come close to this. And we've been monitoring this for 2 years. So the technology can monitor in real time, 24 hours a day, your oxygen level in your blood, your pulse, your respiration, your temperature, your cardiac output, stroke volume, systemic vascular resistance. All these names are big names for a cardiologist, but important for physicians. And it's given me your EKG lead, 12 leads, which is unbelievable because think about it. Your heart beats about 700 times a day, and in a week, you're putting in some real numbers there. And I'm sorry, it's about 100,000 beats per day. So in a week, you're doing 700,000 beats. Imagine 700,000 beats of information.
Yeah.
So the technology culls through that information and screens the information to highlight where the patient's rhythm has changed. So in the middle of the night, you can have a change in your rhythm that could be life-threatening, and we'll be picking that up in real time. You could be in a restaurant eating, and we'll have you on a monitor, and while you're eating, 911 will be there tapping you on the shoulder saying it's time to leave now because you have to come with us. So the technology that we're developing is groundbreaking. We don't know what the impact of that tablet's going to be yet because we haven't done a pilot study. We're talking to Vassar, Mid-Hudson, and many others, some university hospitals in Syracuse, et cetera, that really want to do a pilot with this new product. Because it's so new technology, no one knows the impact of what it's going to do in a home care setting. But the idea is as seniors age, right, and by the year 2025, the baby boomer population will have maxed out, and that's only, when you think about it, 7 or 8 years away from now. And all of a sudden, nursing homes will be at 100% capacity, and my generation will want to be taken care of at home, not in a nursing home. So we have to gear up for this type of technology, and that's what the companies are designed to do. Any questions?
Can you give us your background? I know you're a doctor.
Right. So my background is I'm an internist. My subspecialty is cardiology. I was the medical director for the hotel industry in New York for 10 years, so I had a lot of labor experience. There, the industry, the union was Local 6. It had about 25,000 active employees, plus spouse dependents and retirees, about 100,000 people. I was in my early 30s as a physician, and my job was to come into one of the 5 medical centers that they owned and operated. Each one of the medical centers was about 20,000 square foot in size, and we employed about 175 full-time physicians to work in the centers. So I started in the Queen's office, and within 6 months they made me the medical director for the Queen's office, and a year later they made me the medical director for all 5 locations. So I did 10 years experience doing that. And then one day I woke up and said, if I can do this for one labor fund, I should be able to do this for many labor funds. So I built a company starting in an office the size of a bathroom in Manhattan with a secretary, and put a network of physicians together, 55,000 physicians in New York State and New Jersey, every hospital under contract, and then went back to the labor funds and said, if you use this network of physicians and hospitals, we can see a 20% reduction in healthcare costs. In 6 years, it became the second largest healthcare network in the state, and we were treating 1.3 million covered lives.
Thank you, Dr. Byer. And I tell you, your property, even in the middle of the winter, it looks prestige and it looks beautiful. So I want to thank you for taking care of that property.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The goal is really to use the office building itself for office space because it's wide open space, and it's easy for me to put cubicles in there and start working out of it very quickly. The land, I have no intention of doing anything with the land except to cut the grass and keep it as, like a corporate environment to me. I think it's beautiful land, and I'm not interested in doing any development. So for me, it's just, it's part of the broader image of what a corporate park should look like, so to speak.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Although it is disappointing, I have been to events there this past year, and it was lovely.
This is a golf course that's been around for a long time,
Yes.
and my intention really was to keep it as a golf course. But when you have 163 members, and on a Friday night your restaurant is only serving 5 people for hamburgers, you're just not making it. It's just not cost effective. And I think at the end of the day, even if I would have done weddings, which would have probably made it profitable, and the intention really was golf courses don't make money, but if you do enough catered events, you probably could break out even or make a profit. But since these 2 companies started to grow so quickly, and I mean really so quickly, in just a short period of time, you went from building 4 locations to 42 or 44 locations today. We really have to build a staff to support that. And I think the greater needs of the community and healthcare in general requires this type of intervention, so that the future is really about technology in the home as opposed to what we're doing today.
I'm good. Anyone else? Any other questions? Doctor, as Ann had said, everybody's sorry to see the course go, but what you're bringing, I think, is state-of-the-art. And I think, hopefully we'll see you grow in the jobs you're bringing, or something that we definitely need. Will no longer be a hospitality environment. And hopefully everybody will follow behind you, and will physicians, assistants, and the high-tech nurses that come on. And as you grow, hopefully this develops the whole area. You have a great partnership with the colleges.
Well, the colleges is extremely excited. We were there this morning with Marist, and we had a conference call with Rensselaer and some others. And the prospect of doing joint ventures with them is just incredible. They look at an opportunity to take the data from the tablets and use the data to help predict healthcare outcomes. So for the first time, since we now know what a patient's oxygen level, blood pressure is, all these cardiac indexes, we've never measured that in a home setting before. Now that information is streamed, and it can be manipulated at the colleges to help write the algorithms to predict what patients are more likely to decompensate in 24 or 48 hours in a home care setting. So it's really groundbreaking stuff that we're talking about.
You're going to put Poughkeepsie on the map,
Well, I really hope so. I mean, we're growing very fast, and I mean that, Joe. I mean, you just in the past 2 weeks, if you sat with me and sat at some of the meetings I've been in, we're talking about national.
I might need one of those tablets myself. Maybe boomer.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to national REITs that want us to build 200 locations nationwide using the same concept of Telestat. So it's going to grow very, very quickly now.
All the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion, we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Whereas the receiver of taxes, Karen Schubert, has advised the current credit card provider charges the town 2.99% together with a 50-cent swipe fee or a $2 minimum charge, whereas there's been operational difficulties with the current provider, IMS LLC and PowerPay, and whereas the receiver has discussed replacement with 4 providers and advises that Municipay will reduce the credit card charge to the town from 2.99% to 2.65%, will maintain the minimum $2 charge per transaction and offer an e-check charge of $1.50 per transaction, whereas no other provider can provide the town the ability to apply its water and sewer payments directly to the town's Munis computer system, which direct application ability is offered by Municipay, and will save the receiver's office approximately 1 hour of labor per day. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie finds that it would be in the best interest of the town to do a formal procurement given the unique nature of the service which Municipay can offer and its favorable pricing, and the Town Board is hereby authorized the supervisor to execute a contract with Municipay on terms which are acceptable to the attorney for the town. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
6. Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a time extension change order with Blue Heron Construction Company in reference to the Arlington WWTP Rehabilitation Project to change the completion of the water line to January 20, 2017. Copy of said change order is attached. So moved.
Second. The motion second. Any question on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Whereas orders to remedy, copies of which are attached here too, have been issued for property located at 5 Mahar Drive in the town of Poughkeepsie, state of New York, according to Chapter 159 of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Code, and whereas said orders to remedy have not been complied with, now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby set the 15th day of February 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider recommendation from the zoning administrator that the town or its contractors remove and, as needed, continue to remove all solid waste, debris and litter, fallen tree limbs, cut the grass to a height not to exceed 6 inches, and maintain throughout the growing season at all the property above, so it will not become overgrown and unsightly. All the property above property, the cost of such shall constitute a lien and charge on the above real property until paid, satisfied, or discharged, and shall be collected in the same manner as other town charges. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm going to recuse on this resolution number 8. we have done some business with this organization, and I also like to add that this organization scammed a lot of contractors, and so I'm just going to recuse myself.
Myself? All right. Ann, you want to read it?
Yeah, I can read it. Whereas the developer of the park at Inwood has tendered a sewer access easement to the town of Poughkeepsie, which easement will allow the town access to the sewer main and appurtenances in this private project for emergency purposes, without the town assuming any obligation to enter or take action, and further provides that in the event that the town were to take an action, that all town's expenses would be reversed to the town and be included in the developer and owner's sewer bills if unpaid. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to accept and execute the attached inspection, maintenance, and access agreement with easement on behalf of the town with the developer, fulfilling the other conditions for the approval of the site plan development, and be further resolved that upon acceptance of the easement, the supervisor is authorized to release the bond, letter of credit, and other securities received for the completion of the required site development work. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any more questions on this one? Joe's recused himself. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4, 1 abstention. Number 9, be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the supervisor to sign all papers necessary and properly to effectuate a transfer of surplus money owned by the town of Poughkeepsie to Thomas and Nancy Mahar, which property is situated on Melrose Terrace in the town of Poughkeepsie and described on Exhibit A for a sum of $750 as valued by the town assessor. Such sale to be by the town of Poughkeepsie on a quick claim basis will be closing only to occur if the expiration of the required term for the filing of a permissive referendum without the filing of such a petition, that all advertising, filing, and recording expense of the town shall be reimbursed to it by the purchasers. And be it further resolved, the town board determines that this is an unlisted action involving the transfer of approximately .054 acres of undeveloped real property, and further determines that the transfer of property will not result in any potential significant adverse environmental impacts. Be it further resolved, based on the foregoing, the town board authorizes the execution of the annexed environmental assessment form by the supervisor or his designee in the execution of the annexed required negative declaration documentation. So moved.
Second.
The motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Good.
Be it resolved. Want me to go? Or Bill?
Okay.
10. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Jeffrey D. Renahan, effective immediately, to fill the unexpired term of the first ward councilman, which appointment shall expire on December 31st, 2017. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one?
I think he's competent. He'll do a great job.
I have his resume. I think it will be a great addition to our board.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Jeff, congratulations. Would you like to say something?
Just like you.
Might as well put you right on the spot right away.
First of all, I'd just like to thank the board for even considering me to be appointed to this position that was vacant. Like I said, I've been living in the town of Poughkeepsie for 50 years now, all 50 years in the first ward. I've been doing a lot for the community so far, as you've seen in the resume. I've been in a firefighter for New Hamburg for 36 years, currently chief there. And like I said, I have 3 children and a wife that all, like I said, live in the town with me. And I'm looking forward to working with the board.
Welcome aboard, Jeff.
Congratulations.
Good luck, Chris.
Be it resolved, town board, town of Poughkeepsie is hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit: retain Vanderwater and Vanderwater, People versus Ramos, notice of appeal. And be it further resolved that upon the objection of a member of the town board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Special consent 1, be resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby retain Vanderwater LLP at hourly rate of $185 for partners, $155 for associates, and $65 for paralegals to represent the town's interest in appeal to the appellate term of Supreme Court in proceeding known as People versus Hector Ramos. So moved.
Second.
The motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
We've come to the end of our town board meeting. I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting to any public comment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to discuss anything in the town in general? Step right up.
Good evening. My name is David Cullen. I live in New Hamburg, and I'm here tonight representing the New Hamburg Neighborhood Association. I'd like to start off by distributing a handout, if I may, to board members.
David? David?
You can just pass me down if you want.
Thank you. Make it easier on yourself.
As you can see, this is a copy of an article which appeared in the January 6th edition of the Poughkeepsie Journal, well-researched by the Journal, and an indication of the enormous increases in volume that have been processed through the Bettini Terminal in New Hamburg in recent years. In particular, if you look on page 1, the right-hand column right under the picture of the tanker trucks, it talks about the figures processed in barrels during a period of time between 2012 and 2013, with increases between 32% 1 year and 500% over the 2012-2013 total. What is the rationale for handing this out to you? Well, we are aware of the fact that the town has entered into a non-binding agreement with Bettini over the suit relative to traffic regulations on truck traffic in the hamlet of New Hamburg. And I think when you look at this and the subsequent portion of the article on page 2, it will become clear that we are still enormously concerned about the impact of that truck traffic on our hamlet, which has no sidewalks, narrow streets, and was not designed for commercial traffic. Because of our understanding that the town has entered into an agreement, at least a proposed agreement, we would like to request a copy of that agreement for the New Hamburg Neighborhood Association as the people who are most impacted by that agreement.
David, we'll discuss that with our attorneys. The board we have not seen an agreement as of yet.
When do we anticipate seeing it?
I will let you know. Give me a call in the morning. I will let you know when it's going to be, if we know when it's going to be available.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, David.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doreen.
So regarding that agreement, wouldn't that be something that would be a document subject to FOIL that anybody can get under FOIL? No?
No. I don't think it's appropriate for the board to be commenting on a matter that's an ongoing
Okay, well, my
litigation.
question is, if you're going to be giving out agreements to people, I guess it should not just be available, if it was to be available just to New Hamburg residents, I mean, it should be available to anyone, I would think, who would like to see it, if allowed by law.
Yeah, that's the question. That's why I'm not giving a date.
Okay, right. So like I said, I guess my point was, if it's a subject document is subject to FOIL, it should be FOILed. Okay. And my other question is, Councilman Laporte, do you have any business associations with the property at 2628 South Road?
The golf course?
Voted on? Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I was a member there, but...
No, the board is concerned with, conflicts of interest, business, things like that. So since you, I I just thought I would ask since it seemed that you were familiar with the property.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody else like to discuss anything, any town business at all? If not, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following matters, to wit: 1, litigation, to discuss litigation strategy of the case known as Bottini versus the town, confidential communication between the attorney and his client, the town board, based on the attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved that there will be no action appropriating money. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to adjourn to executive session at 7:40 p.m. and I'd like to invite Jeff Renahan to come to executive session.
Since there'll be 10 of us, Mr. Supervisor, do you want to do it out here?
We can do it out here. Yeah. Once everybody clears, yeah, that works.